Just take a few moments to allow both your body and mind to just be at rest. Nothing else to do but to be present, body and mind together. Without exerting any effort, just let body and mind be present together. Allow yourself to feel the natural ease that arises when body and mind are both at rest. If it is not obvious, try to look for it, but gently, without forcing anything. Gently, mindfully look for that sense of ease. That sense of rest that is good, that feels good, that's natural, that does not need any effort. If it needs anything, it is simply needing that we get out of the way. We get out of trying to improve it, and we get out of trying to prolong it, by simply letting it be. That sense of ease, that feeling of being at rest. Whatever you think you need to attend to right now, just drop it. Drop it, and drop it. Note how your habits tell you you need to do this or that. Pay attention and recognize impulses, whether mental, emotional, or physical, that you automatically just get pulled along. Whether it's needing to physically fidget around or mentally fidgeting around. Just pay attention to that. Notice that. Then breathe in and let go when you breathe out. If you find yourself constantly feeding these impulses, recognize that, see that. Turn to page 1 of the recitations book. All mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. All mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. All mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path of liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. Thus, until I achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. To the top of page 6. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. So I just want to remind everyone that that we started applying a particular technique of meditation, even if in the last few meetings we have not explicitly talked about it. It's not like we have moved on to something else, which is the meditation on the pebble. That is a foundation that is really important to the Great Seal practice. Great Seal being Mahamudra. Mahamudra lies at the heart of the Kaygu path. Often it is said that there are two approaches. One is called the path of methods, and one is called the path of liberation. Mahamudra is the path of liberation. Then the forceful yogas, such as the yogas of Naropa, or often called dharmas, yogas of Naropa or dharmas of Naropa, the 6 yogas, the 6 dharmas. Those are the path of methods. The path of method without the path of liberation cannot lead to freedom. The path of liberation, Mahamudra, without the path of methods, can stand alone by itself. So in that way, the main practice of Kaygu is the path of liberation, is the Great Seal tradition, the tradition of Mahamudra. Particularly is Mahamudra as understood and taught and promoted by Gampopa. In other contexts, other lineages, Mahamudra is mentioned, but there it's mentioned as the fruit or the result of practicing Vajrayana. Mahamudra, as taught by Gampopa, can be accessed through Vajrayana methods. And then, of course, within that context, the most advanced of the Vajrayana methods are the forceful yogas of Naropa, the path of method. But Gampopa also taught Mahamudra and taught that Mahamudra is possible and accessible outside of the Vajrayana context. And some of his contemporaries criticized that and did not accept that. And to this day, there are traditions that say that's not possible. Mahamudra necessarily belongs to Vajrayana. But Gampopa disagreed. And he did not disagree because he was making something up. He disagreed because within his tradition, there is the method and the style of practicing Mahamudra without necessarily explicitly engaging Vajrayana, or definitely without the need of the forceful yogas. Those forceful yogas, understandably, can be very exotic and exciting. Now, you can just kind of go on the internet or look at some Buddhist publications, from time to time, you will hear retreats or workshops or teachings being held for these yogas of Naropa, supposedly tailored for busy modern people. It's doubtful in my mind that it has any use at all whatsoever.
Is that what this new yoga that everybody's practicing, this very forceful, very stringent, strident, active, is that what they're sort of trying to mimic without maybe even...
Who are they?
Well, the fitness centers, for
Oh,
instance.
no, that's different also.
I mean, I know they're not trying to do this, but
it's different.
Okay.
Yeah. Yogas of Naropa, there are 6. I mean, they're not literally all forceful the way we think of forceful. Only one of them, which is the one of them is more explicitly forceful, which is the inner heat. It's one of the 6. There's tummo. In order to achieve the result of tummo, physically you have to be very fit. So they say the best time to start is when you're 16. That's basically gone for everyone in this room. Might not be gone for everyone in this room if you start making a baby now, and then when they're 16, send them to Naropa school. Even that, maybe just a couple of us can plan that for their kids. By the way, Trisat Rinpoche started when he was 16. It's when he did his 3-year retreat. The other of the yogas of Naropa, the dream yoga, clear light yoga, those are not forceful in the physical sense. They're forceful in other ways. But the core of the 6 yogas is the tummo, the inner heat, which Milarepa was foremost in his ability to cultivate this inner heat. That, it's pretty exotic. I remember years ago in some Dharma circles, some friends getting very excited and kind of whispering to each other that so-and-so Lama is coming and willing to give instructions on inner heat. And the whisper continues that he is so compassionate that he's willing to give it to people who have not completed XYZ. And so, of course, people got very excited by the compassion of the Lama. Maybe the Lama is compassionate. I do not know. And I should not say that he isn't. But I would say it's useless. Right? I mean, it's like saying, a very compassionate professor is now going to teach you, how to do a bypass. And you've not even taken basic biology class. I'm not sure if it's compassion. Maybe it is, but then it's certainly very misguided compassion. In any case, the point is, yes, Kaygu tradition has very strong emphasis too on the path of method. So it remains true that many retreatants do the 6 yogas of Naropa. But even that, it's said that those are methods to enhance the path of liberation. The path of liberation is the Great Seal tradition. And the Great Seal tradition, again, is ineffective if there is no calm abiding being established. And even calm abiding there are stages of calm abiding or approaches to calm abiding. There's general calm abiding, which also uses the technique of a pebble. But then there is also the technique of the pebble for establishing calm abiding within the context of the Great Seal, which is what we started doing. So please don't think that I have moved on to something sexier now. No, we still need to come back to the pebble. I cannot force you to do things, but if you want to really progress, you have to not forget your pebble. And when you're without a pebble, then you can have an imaginary pebble. Basically, let your mind rest and be anchored on an object. Throughout the day, find objects, find neutral objects for your mind to anchor and rest. The mind already has a lot of objects. So in that sense, you don't need to go look for objects willy-nilly, but look for neutral objects that the mind can just rest. And let it rest and rest and rest. Not as an escape from activities. Here is the Great Seal insight to why cultivate calm abiding. Outside the context of the Great Seal, calm abiding is taught because it says, when you are in a state of calmly settled, it's very pleasurable or blissful. And so that's a good place to remain in. But in the Great Seal tradition, it said that, no, the reason why we are doing calm abiding is so that we allow the mind to settle and to recognize its own nature. Its own nature, of course, can refer to the kind of nature of mind kind of nature. But in the beginning, we don't need to contrive this nature of mind. And sometimes we read and we think, oh, nature of mind. And you try to, and then you knowingly or unknowingly contrive what you have read about the nature of mind. And then you try to think, oh, empty, oh, aware, oh, all-pervading. And then you are contriving that. That we are told that the nature of mind is empty, aware, and all-pervading is something that you should take to heart and then let go. When you're resting the mind on the pebble or on some object, simply be at rest. Not go to sleep, not lose consciousness, not tightly hold on to, but you are getting acquainted to not contriving, not concocting, not forming, not fabricating. At all times, our minds are constantly fabricating experiences. Now we're learning to trust, not to fabricate, not to concoct, not to contrive. Then in the beginning, you can use this state of kind of being at rest to also understand a little bit about how the concocting, fabricating, contriving mind how it works. As in, pay attention. See how right now it's telling you to fidget, whether it's physical or mental fidgeting. Watch it and say, oh, that's how it is. Once you see, that's how it is, then what do you do next? Let go. Go back to resting. You see, that's how it is. Go back to resting. That's how it is. Go back to resting. No stories to continue there. But don't like strive for a state of blankness. The resting is your resting, and then you're alert to how, okay, it's telling me to do something now. That, recognize that, see that. And say, that's how it tends to behave. Okay, now let go. If you feel that, I'm feeling so at ease now, recognize that's a formation, right? That's a fabrication going on. Say, that's how it is. And then let go. Go back to resting on the object. And so you really need to, almost you could say, play with, experiment, and experience. And so it's not, you see, sometimes when we say rest, we think it's a passive thing. It's not passively resting and therefore falling asleep pretty soon. That's the downness that they always warn against when we're meditating. That the downness gets mistaken as calmness. And they also warn against a kind of downness that actually you don't actually switch off and fall asleep, but you are kind of stuck in this downness. And they say, watch for that. You don't want to get stuck in that downness. So you have to, and all of this is not possible if you're not present. If you're passively doing all of this, then it's not going to work either. And so don't forget the pebble. Then last week, I talked about the skeleton, the white skeleton meditation. Now that's not necessarily taken from the Great Seal. In the Great Seal stages of the path, the white skeleton is not there. The white skeleton is more on the Vajrayana side. And that white skeleton meditation has its roots in more foundational levels. The foundational level of Hinayana. In the white skeleton, in the Hinayana context, you do that as a way to overcome attachment to body. And so they begin with what they call meditation on the foulness. That word is used, on the foulness of this body. But culturally, I'm not sure if this is useful to this culture. This culture is it's a schizophrenic culture that simultaneously has a obsession with the body and a hate of the body. Perhaps its Puritan roots has kind of culturally created. I'm not saying all of you have that problem, but as a cultural force, it's a simultaneous kind of, you know, so like people watching from outside, you know, like my family and friends in Asia, you know, they think of Americans as degenerates, you know, walking around finding every opportunity to display their body. What they don't see is how much hate and discomfort that people have, psychological discomfort with bodies. And so then as a response to that, even more kind of exhibitionists. And so it's these. So then the foulness of the body, while suitable, can easily kind of turn into feeding that self-hate, that hate of the body. Yeah. It can. But in the white skeleton meditation that I introduced last week, it's not, the emphasis is not on the foulness of the body. The emphasis is on sort of it being a symbol of the Dharmakaya. So it's practiced more within the Vajrayana context, which is that when everything, you know, kind of dissolves, all that remains is the skeleton. In Guru Rinpoche's Katwanga, the trident, there are 3 heads. I don't know if you have noticed when you look closely. Vajrayogini, Guru Rinpoche, any deity that holds the trident, the Katwanga, it has 3 heads. The first head, bigger one, is a freshly severed head, vibrant and all that. The second one is a decaying head. It's turned blue and bold, you know. Yes. And the third one is just a skeleton. So that's the 3 kayas. The Nirmana kaya as the first one, the Sambhoga kaya as the second one, and the Dharmakaya as the third one. And so him holding that is saying that he possesses the 3 kayas. And the deities that wear bone ornaments is to say that they are decorated by the Dharmakaya. They possess the qualities of Dharmakaya. So in the Vajrayana context, when you meditate on yourself as this skeleton form, the skeleton is luminous. The skeleton is luminous. There is a visual aid that I put on my Facebook. That's the easiest way for me to share things with people. I know not all of you are on Facebook, but it is possible to be on Facebook and not look at anything else. Just don't respond to anyone asking to be a friend. You know, I'm not saying that I have such interesting things, but if you're curious, go take a look, at least here. See, it's the easiest way for me to share something is plop it on Facebook. That's the luminous white skeleton. Yes, so in this context, the white skeleton meditation is not done as an antidote to your obsession to the body. Not for that purpose. In this case, the white skeleton is as a step towards the out of emptiness arises ... They have seen, these are Facebook people. And if they've not seen, then too bad for them. They're on Facebook and not looking. They're too busy with the White House. Here, the white skeleton is a way to kind of a midway between focusing on this and into the divine form as a preliminary of shifting self-concept based on this body to self-concept based on the body of a deity as a intermediate. This is offered as a possibly helpful step. Yeah? Whereas the pebble is indispensable for establishing Great Seal practice. This is not indispensable. This is one possible way for you to begin to look at this body differently, and more importantly, upon what basis you generate the sense of I. Just on what basis do you generate the sense of I? Which is really at the heart of deity yoga, as the heart of Idam practice, is to generate the sense of I, in Sanskrit called ahankara, or the process of making I, ahankara. Ahankara in Sanskrit is, in the Hinayana context, is said to be the beginning of suffering. But in the Vajrayana context, it says, yes, it is the beginning of suffering, but if you know how to fight fire with fire and turn it around, this very habit of ahankara, of self-formation, could be turned on its own head by replacing the ordinary ahankara with this divine ahankara. This is the great self that is not self. Aham is I am. Ahankara is the process of I aming. And so, as a bridge to seeing yourself as Tara, as Avalokiteshvara, is to first let superficial changing, this, kind of fall away, dissolve. So you could go through, hair dissolving first, skin dissolving, flesh dissolving, all that, but not in that grotesque way that is found in the earlier practice, earlier stages in certain Hinayana practices of, look, really, people go to cemeteries. In Thailand, it's still common. Go to cemeteries and, watch the body decay. But that's not what's going on here. Here is more a sense of being freed, as the flesh and the bones and the sinews and the, organs and everything, dissolve. It's a sense of freedom. And all that remains is the white skeleton. And that white skeleton, I said, even the bones inside is freed. No marrow, all of that. Gone. They're hollow inside. And all that there is this white skeleton. Then in the teachings related to this, they say one of the side effects of this is disease have no basis of landing. Now it sounds fantastical. But this is the business of religion. Buddhism seems to have explanation that is logical for a lot of things. But we all know life is more than logic. Any questions about pebble or skeleton? Yes?
One other quote someone is doing retreat, or just doing it a lot. Is it possible when you're sort of dissembling your idea and image of body as we know it in your meditation, that you also can, during those periods, sometimes accentuate the symptoms of illness? That they may get worse before it gets better?
Not necessarily related to the practice. Could be coincidental. Specifically with this method. Overall, that's possible. Overall, in the sense of practice and karma ripening, and karma ripening faster, but in a less destructive manner. Generally, yes. Specific to these, the method of the white skeleton, not necessarily. Yeah.
This is my first time here, so is there somewhere that I could refer to get a brief overview of the pebble and
the pebble is quite available, and in a number of these Mahamudra books that is out there, they talk about, meditating on the pebble, placing the mind on it. And like I said, this method is also taught in just general calm abiding, and they may or may not have the Great Seal Mahamudra insights into that. In fact, it will say, sometimes it will say things like, when you're placing your mind on the pebble, you need to kind of relate to distractions, like they are robbers that is to be shot on sight. Except it's not shooting. They say, you slash them down with your awareness. That's a much more kind of, and as a preliminary to the Mahamudra way of using the pebble, that might be recommended too. So the key is, I think, when you do these readings, always kind of like know that, wait, these are given for specific audiences, specific places, and that's the nature of like between oral and written. And when something is written down, they are solidified in ways that the speakers never intended them to be. And that's one of the things when we read teachings of the Buddha or teachings of great masters or whatever, always remember that. These were wisdom teachers teaching on the spot to whoever it is that they're talking to, right? Now, once that gets turned into letters on paper or on stone, even worse, then it suddenly gains a rigidity that was never meant to be. And so instead of relating to these teachings in a lively, organic way, we turn into fundamentalists of sorts, of differing, levels. So certainly, I recognize, and not just you because you're first time, trust me, there are people here who have upteen times, they still say, can I have a book you know? And that's also a cultural thing, right? Protestantism has convinced people that if you have the book, you'll be saved. You know, but Kaygu, if you play with the word, Ka means word, the lineage of words, but not blah, blah, blah words. Ka, only Buddhists have Ka. The rest of us have blah, blah, blah. So it's like, you know, true, real, you know, authentic, like reliable instructions, the lineage of instructions. So it's called Kaygu. Kaygu, I'm not saying only Kaygu, all other lineages are also the same. I'm playing with the names of this particular lineage. Kaygu is the lineage. Gyu is lineage, or the continuum, is the continuity of these, you know, reliable, definitive instructions, authentic instructions. It's the stream, it's the continuity. Better than the word lineage, you know, suddenly we get very tribal once lineage comes into the picture, right? Then my lineage and your lineage. But continuity is another word from Jew. So it continues. Where does it continue? It continues to flow from person to person to person, from generation to generation to generation. It's not the institution. There is an institution called Kaygu. Then you have Karma Kaygu, you have Rigung Kaygu, you have Talong Kaygu, you have blah, blah, blah Kaygu, you have all of that. There are all those institutions. I will, you know, when you begin to identify with a continuum, a flow, that you don't mistakenly think you're signing up for an institution. So Kaygu is the continuity of these instructions that goes from heart to heart. The other name for Kaygu is also Drukgyu, which is the practice lineage. Druk is practice. Drukgyu. Which is actually often Drukgyu comes, once they say Drukgyu, then in the background you hear a whispering of another, Shegyu. She is knowledge. That the you know, previous masters of this lineage calls itself Drukgyu. In a way, it's also saying it's not Shegyu. It's not about knowledge. So I have said this before, I'll say this again. I'm pretty sure everyone in this room already has enough share, enough knowledge. I'm not just talking about worldly knowledge, knowledge of the Dharma. Our share definitely exceeds our druk, our practice. Obviously, you come here Wednesday nights because you want to learn. That's great. You know, certainly keeps me in business. If not actual financial business, emotional business. Look, I have an audience. But really, it's Drukgyu. It's not so much Shegyu. It's practice lineage. So, oh, Hun is not going to be there. Yeah, maybe I'll just stay home. Yes, you know, you want information. I understand, you know, especially when you feel kind of impoverished. Well, I wasn't born in this tradition. I didn't grow up Buddhist. Oh my goodness. if you go look at the people who grew up Buddhist, you know, they could care less about this. Really, it's the exact same situation as, oh no, I don't go to church. In so many parts of Asia, you know, it's just like, yeah. I don't go to church. It's really boring. So you guys have an advantage because you come to this with interest, you know, but don't misplace your interest. Then especially, you know, this America and part of its neurosis, you know, is that knowledge is good. The right to know, and the right to know as much as possible. If I know more, it's even better, right? It's a lot to be said about that. There's a lot of good things about that, you know. So I chose, you know, to live in this culture in this country because I like many aspects of that. But also I can see, you know, if left unchecked, we will be picking chicken droppings rather than eggs. Of course, if you're picking chicken droppings because you have a garden to fertilize, that's one thing. But I think we're picking chicken eggs and trying to cook them into a meal and convincing ourselves that, you know, this is a yummy meal. Yeah, so practice, you know. There is the daily practice. There is the formal daily practice. If you can have that, it's really good. If you're not able to have that consistently, then at least throughout the day, you want to find ways to practice. To be able to have a daily, consistent, formal practice is ideal. But let's be honest. It's not always possible, but don't think, therefore, that's it. You can program into your daily life more and more opportunities to apply the teachings, whether it's the Lojong teachings, which is remembering, you know, some of these slogans. May I offer victory to others? For example, applying these slogans, you know, in our day-to-day life, or, you know, the object of the pebble and resting, doing more of that. Then there's also group practice. And there's formal group practice and informal group practice. Formal group practice is when you sit down together and you do the practice. And again, the teachers, the masters, meaning those who have experience from the past, they say the quality of your practice is different when you come together as a group. Then, of course, it's not always possible. Don't make a problem out of it. The whole point of Dharma practice is to be okay. So don't hear, oh, it's good for group practice, and then say, well, but then I cannot go, you know, oh, poor me. Then you have just created suffering out of a method to free you from suffering. It's not how it works, you know. It's never going to work. It's good to have absolute clarity about the teachings. But that clarity is not going to come from someone answering your questions. The clarity is going to come from through practice. Yes.
Is it possible in this Sangha format to have a group practice that we begin with every time?
Yeah, we've certainly done that. The ebb and flow of this Wednesday program is all kind of designed for whatever is needed. So for a period of time, it was the Guru Puja that we did. And then now with newer people in the picture, then more teachings are needed. So I have to run this show. So I look out and see who I see and I decide. Oh, there will be opportunities where I'm not here. Then without choice, if you're here, you have to do practice together. But that's also when people are like, yeah, maybe I'll go, maybe not.
The most time, when you're not here, I have the most difficulty finding rides.
Yeah, because everybody, is taking a vacation. It's a particular kind. Different Buddhist traditions attract people with different problems. People who get attracted to Tibetan Buddhism are always looking for the next exciting thing to learn about. What's next? What's next? What's next? What's new? What's new? What's next? What's more profound? What's more secret? Tell me more. Tell me more. Give me something else. That's when we need to learn from the Soto Zen guys. It's the same damn wall that they've been staring at for the last 30 years. And it's still not fallen down. Nothing new, And they're so content, to look at that same wall. Maybe the first 10 years was spent thinking about how to improve that wall. But nonetheless, for 10 years, they can look at just the wall and think about ways to improve the wall. Then the 11th year, you suddenly give up trying to improve the wall. And that's like, wow. So there, and there's not a lot of information given there. We could learn from there a little bit. And that's of course one extreme, But even like Monday night here, mountain mindfulness, there's nothing new to be talked about, but consistently every Monday, you come and you do the practice. Other questions about? So all I can say is come, on Wednesday. Do make an effort. Of course, things arise, things come up in our schedule and we can't. But you have to prioritize, and say, I want to be here and I'm moving things around to be here. And then patiently be here. At the beginning, you will be suspicious. I don't know if this person knows what he's talking about. And you should be suspicious. But then at a certain point, if you keep coming, maybe it's also time to stop and say, okay, I will stop self-diagnosing. Otherwise, you know. But to stop self-diagnosing is not to say, you are my personal Jesus. Doesn't work also, you know. Fundamentally, Buddhism is not a theistic tradition. Sometimes all this talk about the guru turns the guru into a Jesus figure. Then we think, oh, I'm working on getting to the point where I don't have to think anymore. Whatever the guru says, I will do. But right now, can't do that yet. But one of these days, somehow it will happen. That's not the meaning of relying on the guru. Relying on the guru means, yeah, well, it can mean a lot of things, but here relying on the guru means you get to a point where heart and soul, you say, I will kind of maintain this attitude of like, these are precious words that I'm receiving, and I will do my best to understand what these words are saying. I will do my best to diligently attend all these teachings, receive all these teachings perfectly. Yes. But receiving these teachings perfectly doesn't mean, oh, I got this. So then now I'm practicing, no matter what, I just have to follow this. No, it means now you also need to be true to your process. So you have to take it into your own experience. And if any teacher tells you, you know, that they know your, they kind of know exactly what your mind is doing, don't believe that. You, in the end, is the real witness too. Now, of course, it's tricky, right? Right now, you are always concocting things to avoid. But in the end, only you know. So you take the teachings, it's not like you take on blind faith, but you take on enough faith that these teachings have been handed down from generation to generation. Therefore, they have a precious nature that I'm taking to heart, but that's not enough yet. You still have to experience them. And the way you experience them is going to be different from the way your teachers experience them. Some aspects of it, your teacher, you know, had no problems with it. But for you, it could be very hard. And then some other aspects could be very hard for your teachers. But for you, it's easy. You see, so you have to understand that it's going to be different for you. And what you're provided with is a reliable, authentic map. But you still have to actually use that map and walk. So combine those two, you know. So it cannot be, so surrender here is not surrendering your own process. Your own process is important. To be honest to that process. And to honor that process, your own process. Comments? Yes, Christina.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
The two empowerments that we received last weekend, the weekend before.
Yes.
How often are we supposed to practice those?
Vajrasattva is the second of the uncommon ngondra, right? So some of you, not all of you, have started the ngondra and are continuing the ngondra. So whenever you arrive at the second part, then you do that as your regular practice for Vajrasattva. If you have not started your ngondra and you have no plans to start your ngondra, then, you know, whenever you feel like doing it, you do it.
What about the one, the second, the green one?
Vajravidarana,
Yeah.
it's a method for dealing with pollution. Yeah, so it's like an enhancement practice and not so much a main practice. And so when I request for things like this, I forget sometimes that I have to repeat, you know, kind of the rationale behind. So the Friday night fivefold Mahamudra Torma empowerment is so that you all have the traditional prerequisite to engage in the fivefold path. And so that was requested. It doesn't mean that now you start. It just means now you have that in a seed form. And so that was why that was requested. Vajrasattva, because a number of people are doing the Vajrasattva practice as a regular practice, and eventually there will be some of you who will say, oh, I want to, you know, do the ngondra. Then it's a good empowerment to receive. But again, not because I think, oh, you should do it now, per se. And Vajravidarana is something that I felt that these days there's a lot of spiritual pollution, dripa, that many of us don't even realize that we are kind of being buried by dripa. There are many methods to deal with dripa, actually. Sangha is one way to deal with dripa. The auspicious smoke offering is a way to cleanse dripa. But Vajravidarana, the water cleansing, is another way to deal with dripa. And so that's why I requested that.
So I've been doing mine daily.
Good.
I only skipped one day,
Mm-hmm.
but is that too much or?
There's never too much.
Okay, cool. I've been doing mine daily.
Yeah, that's good.
Another one question, and I'll be quiet. When I run out of that water, do I just refill it or do I get more?
You want to refill before you run out.
Okay,
Yeah, so that some of the beginning is always there.
okay,
And if you can refill it with saffron water, that's even better.
okay,
But if you cannot, then you cannot, you know.
okay. So, and that will continue forever then? You know,
Well, you know, for as long as forever lasts.
well, I mean, you know, it will last like 6 months or a year, let's keep on going.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mean, like forever.
yeah.
6 months forever.
6 months forever, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
it's very Buddhist.
Because I don't know.
Because more than, actually the Buddhist definition of permanence is anything that lasts for more than a moment is permanent, which of course nothing.
I didn't know what.
So when the Buddha says, you know, all things are impermanent, it's not talking so much even about, you know, oh, you know, Asheville eventually will go away. It's like anything that lasts for even more than a moment is already permanent, in which case nothing is permanent. because nothing can last for more than a moment. So 6 months is pretty good for forever.
I have to find the powder if I mean.
Powder? What powder?
You know, that 35.
Well, it's already in the original. Yeah.
Okay.
You just gotta keep the original,
Yeah.
even
Right.
a drop.
Yeah. Even the drop of the original.
Have faith.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'll be quiet now.
You don't have to.
When you make the saffron water,
Mhm.
is it like brewing tea a little bit? Is that how you do
And
it?
it's exactly like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sift it so that the little filaments are not in there because they'll tend to rot and then the water gets all yucky.
Yeah.
Keeping it in the fridge will keep it fresh. I'm not joking. I ordered spritzer bottles.
Oh, I have spritzer.
Yay! To share?
I'll sell them to you on Saturday.
Why, of course.
Yeah, you know.
I hope they're good.
No, for
quality.
real, you know, I got them, so.
$15
Little
bottle,
ones.
$40 bottle.
Little ones.
Little ones,
Yeah,
the travel size.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
So you can
It's
take them on the
approved.
airplane.
yeah, you can take it through the
Really
airport.
important.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Airplanes.
under 2 ounces
Yeah.
of liquid. So, of course, I think all of you, I'm pretty sure, with the exception of, what's your name?
Dave.
David. I'm Han. Maybe David knows too. But anyway, we know that all of you in this room know that we are in a period of soul searching. Haha, Buddhists don't believe in souls. But we're in a period of soul searching, institutionally or as a collective, as to how we continue what we have here. Again, I want to repeat again and again that the immediate, obvious thing is money. But money is the easy part. No, really. Yeah, money is the easy part. People can give you money, you know, but people can't give you dedication. Because, you know, imagine the scenario, right? We get all the money that we want, right? To pay all the different people who want money in order for us to remain here. But then there's no one to put the tables out. There's no one to collect the cushions. There's no one sitting there to ensure the doors are open. Then what, right? So that's not even what we're really talking about. What we're really talking about is, you know, creating enough of vastness of mind and, you know, kind of understanding that something got to give, you know. We all only have 24 hours. And we all have our, you know, no matter who we are, right? No matter at what stage of your life, you know, if you're a student, you have all sorts of student demands that is on you. If you are a retiree, you have all sorts of retiree demands that is on you. If you are a, you know, father to 2, you know, 9-year-olds or 10-year-olds, then there's all sorts of demands that comes with that, right? And you're single, there are all sorts of demands that comes with that. Nobody is more free than others, really. Everybody in whatever stage of life we have found ways to make our lives complicated and busy, right? So don't ever think, you know, like, oh, she's retired, you know, she has a lot of time, you know. Nonsense, you know, because we fill it up with things, right? So part of this is really like something got to give. If we want this, then we have to give up some of that. So the bigger question is, are there enough of us willing to give up enough things to have this? Right? And having this is this as in, you know, by location, I don't mean 29 Page Avenue. By location, I mean, but that's the circumstance that we have now, 29 Page Avenue. But by location, I mean, see, what is different about urban Dharma is that it's a public, it's in a place where it's visible to many people, not to all people, but it's visible to many people. So one of the compelling stories that have come up, for me at least, is how people walk by many times and then finally they come in. But come in not so much for this formal programs. They come in whenever the doors are open, thanks to the kindness, generosity of volunteers. And because it's volunteer, it's not so easy, you know. It's so because the easy thing, me as a volunteer too, is like, maybe today I'm not going in, you know, because, you know, whatever, right? But volunteers kept this open, so they come in. And one story, right? And I'm sure that's not the only case. After a few times of coming in, they also notice, hey, there is an addiction recovery group that meets here. You know, I really need something like that. And they turn up. And that changed their lives. You know, Buddhism or not, you know, who cares? But that is a Buddhist style of recovery that people who can't handle 12-step has an option. I've always said that I'm not interested in starting a place that competes with what other people are already doing. There are Buddhist groups that emphasize retreat. I don't need to compete with that, you know. It's available. Do that, please. Resources are really limited, you know, so we don't want to compete. But we want to ask ourselves, are we offering something that is different? And so location is important, you know. It could be somewhere else, but somewhere else that does that, right? For the 10th time, this person has walked past and has a reason to walk past because it's in the middle of a lot of stuff. And the 11th time, they're going to come in. Less likely if we are somewhere that people don't walk by and people drive by. Not so likely. When you're driving by, you don't really see what's there. But when you walk by, you know. So this is where we are. And so we would like to continue this. But let's also be clear. Downtown is not sustainable. This downtown. I think we should admit that too. So if we sign the lease for the next cycle, it's so that we have time to have a good exit strategy to a different location that would allow us to do the same thing. We don't want, I don't want to abruptly just end. So that if we sign, that we have to sign and with the understanding that now we have 2 years to situate ourselves in a better location, considering the social dynamics that's going on, the socioeconomic dynamics that's going on in downtown Asheville. Yeah. And to be in a place where we can continue to do and to offer what we're able to offer, and to be able to have people come looking for us. Somebody said to me, what about that whole area where, you know, like, didn't like 12 Bones move to? I said, yeah, it's because, you know, lots of people know 12 Bones, so they can move and people will come to them. Because President Obama ate there twice. People know to go look for 12 Bones. But people might not know to go look for urban Dharma when urban Dharma is not here. You know, so the next 2 years, we might need to not only have enough money to pay rent, But I think we also need to have enough money to have at least 26 out of the 52 Mountain Express a year to have an ad in there telling people we are here and this is what we do. We have recovery groups that meet here. We have wellness that happens here. We have born again Tibetan Buddhist stuff that happens here. Spritzing your way into spritzing your spiritual pollutions away, right? I mean, the whole range.
With the ad on the radio on the way here,
Uh-huh.
yeah, Show FM. That's cool.
Really?
What?
What did
That
you
it was
hear?
cool, or what?
Wait, what did you hear?
What did you hear?
Urban Dharma is a temple in downtown Asheville.
Someone offered that. It's an offering. We didn't place it.
What station?
103.3 Asheville FM.
Yes.
CQS?
Hmm?
CQS.
We
There's
can get into
CQS.
this more later, but you're really effective
103.3.
in Mountain Express with a consistent classified ad.
Right.
Like a 1-inch.
Right.
Classified.
Or even I'm thinking a quarter or whatever, consistent 26 weeks. If we cannot do it 52, we need to commit to that. You see, that is so that people know to come look for us when we're no longer here, right? So we cannot just say, oh, we have 2 years and then that's it, right? No. We're buying time of 2 years so that we can better situate ourselves in the kind of neighborhood that, again, have walking traffic and people can find us and people know to find us. So we need to give people a reason to go looking for us in 2 years' time. Yeah, so that's important. Now, yes.
I had over the past couple years have come across people that said that, oh, I would come to Urban Dharma, but it's right there on the street. And I told them, well, how else are we gonna, I mean, it was just kind of weird. They want you off on,
Yeah, there's no way to win those, sentient beings are complicated,
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, yeah, that's okay. Someone else can take care of that population. My point is,
Thank you.
there is already existing Buddhist places that are out of the way. So they should go to those places. This is not for everyone, but this is a need that is not being met until we turn up. I feel strongly about it. And that's why the truth is that I can continue doing what I do by letting go of this.
Right.
In fact, the truth is, it'll be easier for me.
Yeah.
There are many places that want me to go. Not permanently, they know enough to not want me permanently. And you're stuck with me for a while. And so the truth is that it's a lot easier if I just say, yeah, maybe this can just go away, But I do think that this is a need that we are feeling. That's why, I don't think we should give up so easily. It's like, we're not, it's like if it is a Buddhist center, business as usual, yeah, sure, let's go find some place and do our, Kaygu thing. And that's it, But no, the Kaygu thing is only one slice of this. What's going on here,
We got a whole bunch of satellite accommodations.
Yeah. So anyway, so back to this this working it up to the I should let you know too. Some of you already know, but I want us, at least this group, to get sort of the narrative right, which is that what we're looking for, starting last month and into the rest of this month, because the lease has to be signed by the end of this month. So that's kind of like the time frame. What we're looking for since last month and to the end of this month is yes, of course, there's the money issue, but more so, it's really like understanding what are we trying to preserve here and to continue here, and do we want to continue this, right? And can we commit? Can we say, I'm going to give up here in order to commit to this? And not just us here. We're asking everyone who is interested in us this question. Because obviously, many that is in this room is already doing that. Now you need to spread the gospel to others. That it's not just money that we're looking for. Do we have enough or not enough? Yeah. It's really aligning our intentions with our actions. Yeah. On the intention level, I think so many people have the intention for this. But now it's the time to align our actions to our intentions. Yeah. So aspiration bodhicitta without engagement bodhicitta will not fulfill bodhicitta vow. Action bodhicitta is necessary. Now, here's the news that you all should know. I've already said in the past, I will say this is one of the kind of axioms that I should claim is mine. Don't count on magic, but don't discount magic. Magic turned up. Lady Vasundhara turned up this past Sunday. If you have not heard yet, Vasundhara, on the mythic level, is the consort of Jambala, the Lord of Abundance. So the Lady of Abundance turned up on Sunday. Someone walked in here on the one Sunday that currently is covered. Only one Sunday is covered, right?
First Sunday of the month.
First Sunday of the month. Someone walked in here, and later I learned that actually this person called and Jess talked to this person on the Tuesday, but Jess didn't say come Sunday.
Just said send a check.
Yeah. So anyway, this person turned up on Sunday, walked in. Daniel was the volunteer, and she said, we tried to do this online, but couldn't figure out. So anyway, here is a check. It's for 10,000. These people are from not here, a few hours away. They want to remain anonymous, and they will, because I don't know who they are. I got the names. I'm pretty good with Google, and they're not on our mailing list.
How did they hear about this?
We don't know. They did not offer.
Are they a couple?
Everyone's
We don't know.
You talk.
They are anonymous.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, not that I'm hiding. We also don't know. Like, we couldn't tell what exactly, and they didn't offer. They say, blessings and good luck. Continue the work.
Well, was the check good? Because you gotta have the
I love
If you have the check, you got everybody that.
Actually, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. My point, it's not the money. It's not the money. But magic happens. But the thing is this. For us to continue to do what we do, we cannot count on people bailing us out. Yeah. So don't let that distract us, but let that inspire us to say, look, what is going on here apparently is noticed by others. Notice enough that they're going to give 10,000, even though they don't live in this community, and they apparently have no direct connection to this community. I mean, like, wow, right? But then, don't think, oh, we are over. Well, in terms of numbers, we're still not over, but that's not the point, right? And we need to build our own strength. Yeah? So this temple started here without any fundraising. So an initial magic already happened and happened for the last 6 years. All of this, we as I already said, normally it takes like 20 years to get to this point for any Buddhist group, but it just kaplunk and landed in Asheville. Other people in other Buddhist groups, when you talk to them, they're like, yeah, you all just came in with a big bang, and and of course a lot of people are like, Han Lai must be independently wealthy, which is not true. Now independently in debt, that's true.
I remember when I first came here.
Mm-hmm. So, you should know, this gift came, but then if we let this gift become a distraction and say, oh yeah, we're good now, then we don't have what it takes to continue. But so we rejoice in the gift, and we should be inspired by the gift, but that just says, yes, we are probably doing something right here. But then in the end, if this is going to continue, it's going to continue because of our collective efforts and not someone outside bailing us out. I have an email from Venerable George. Venerable George is, if you all don't know him, is one of the senior teachers and members of the FPMT, Foundation for the Preservation of the Mahayana Tradition, started by Lama Yeshe many, many years ago in Nepal. And in the last, 20, 30 years, led by Lama Zopa Rinpoche. They have many, many centers around the world, many, many monks and nuns. Probably, I would say, the only non-Tibetan significant monastic population is from FPMT. No other non-Tibetan Tibetan Buddhist organization have so successfully kind of built a monastic community, and they have. Venerable George has been a monk longer than I have been alive. It's really very impressive for FPMT to have this kind of, staying power. And Venerable George lives close to here in Silo, by an hour away. And he's currently in retreat. He's in a 3-year retreat, but not complete sealed off. He checks his email, but he has enough self-discipline not to be, stuck with email and Facebook and all of that. I don't think he checks Facebook, but email is the way he keeps kind of abreast of things. Certain news he's aware of course, and part of it is he's aware of what's going on here. He has done programs here, he has given teachings here, and so this is what he has sent to us, and we're going to send it out to the larger mailing list. But I want you all to read this to you guys here. Dear Urban Dharma brothers and sisters, many years ago, when I was at Manjushri Institute in England, our basement kitchen had an infestation of rats. It had lasted for many months and was so severe that the health department threatened to shut down the kitchen unless the rats were gone at the time of the next inspection. Needless to say, we needed to eat, but we didn't want to put out poison or lethal traps to kill the rats. Fortunately, our teacher, Lama Yeshe, was visiting and suggested that we do Tonglen meditation together as a community. Lama said, "You ate their food, now they eat your food." He said to meditate on taking on the suffering of all our mother rats and giving them our roots of virtue. Unfortunately, we only had time to do but one short group meditation before the next inspection. We waited with apprehension as the inspectors came up from the basement, and much to our surprise and theirs, they said, "They're gone," and approved the kitchen inspection. I wonder if a group meditation like this might also be beneficial for urban Dharma. A Dharma friend of mine recently said that we don't always recognize the value of what we have until we lose it. He was referring to the great value of being able to do a retreat, but that observation applies here too. A city center like urban Dharma is so valuable, not only for us, but also for the entire community. In his dedication chapter in Bodhicayavata, Shantideva said, "May the teaching that is the sole medicine for the suffering of the world and the source of all prosperity and joy remain for a long time, accompanied by riches and honors." Unquote. So I suggest perhaps you could meditate on taking on all the obstacles that prevent all Asheville mother sentient beings from having access to the holy Dharma, including those friends who said, "I would go if only you were not on the street." And imagine sending out to them our bodies, our wealth, and our merits of the past, present, and future in the form of Dharma facilities that enable them to receive the medicine of the Dharma. Another event comes to mind. When the Western monastic Sangha was for a long time without housing in Dharamshala, India, the great teacher, Serkong Tsensap Rinpoche, who was the Dharma debate companion of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, suggested that we meditate as a group in front of the statue of Guru Pemasambhava in the temple in Dharamshala. Without much hope of success, we did so. And almost immediately after exiting the temple, we encountered a local Indian lady who owned property on which there were empty barracks of soldiers who were previously stationed there. Those rooms became the so-called Inji Gompa, foreigner Gompa, for many years thereafter. Perhaps you could do the same, assembling representations of Guru Rinpoche and imagining this blessed statue in Dharamsala, India, and of all the past and present lineage lamas of your tradition, and making heartfelt prayers for the success of your search for continuing urban Dharma. A final thought: my Lama's Dharma organization, FPMT, has a periodic Work a Day for Rinpoche campaign. The idea is to offer service to the Guru, as they recently said, quote, "If you are inspired and able, please join the Work a Day for Rinpoche campaign and transform some of your work earnings into support for these far-reaching Dharma activities," unquote. Maybe urban Dharma could implement that at the time of the next merit multiplying holiday, the anniversary of the first turning of the Wheel of Dharma on July 27th. With big love from your Dharma brother, George. So,
Let's do it.
let's do it.
Group practice, yay!
So we should announce the Tonglen, and also announce Guru Rinpoche practice. Guru Rinpoche because of Guru Rinpoche's kindness. Also, when we say kindness, right, the kindness of the gurus or the kindness of Guru Rinpoche, what we're talking really, it's bodhicitta with skill.
Yeah.
Skill. That's what we mean when we say the guru's kindness. Is that the power of their bodhicitta coupled with skill. So Guru Rinpoche's kindness, it is said to Tibet, is that because of him, Dharma got successfully established in Tibet and overcame all the obstacles. So whenever the Dharma is new, the Guru Rinpoche principle, right, is a special interdependence for things to shift. The kind of stereotype among the four lineages of Tibetan Buddhism, especially these days, is that Gelugpas don't really like Guru Rinpoche, which is not true, obviously. Venerable George comes from a Gelugpa tradition, and his teacher, Sensab, Serkong Sensab Rinpoche, is a high Gelugpa Lama. And so his recommendation for that particular problem is all of you need to meditate and pray to Guru Rinpoche. Next week, before this Kaygu Sangha meeting, there's a meeting for the nuts and bolts of the campaign, starting at 5:30 upstairs. Change to 5 now?
Do we change it to 5?
Yeah. So it's at 5, and so if you want to come and see what tasks you can contribute to, I think we are not so much at a point of thinking about various ways of doing things or whether to do or not to do things. We're at a point where we're critically in need of having tasks taken and carried out nicely and timely and all of that. So it will be good if you can come and want to help in that way, but there are so many ways to help. Like saying Guru Rinpoche prayers and dedicating it to this particular cause, like doing Tonglen. Really, that Tonglen of thinking about, not just in Asheville, but anywhere and everywhere where in this barbarian land called the United States of America, by the day it's turning more and more barbaric, I think, if you ask me. Think about these barbarian lands where people have no access to the Dharma. So breathe that in and think about what you have benefited from the presence of urban Dharma, and give it to them.
Why don't we do that next week, and then we can do it on our own, but do the first one here.
Yeah, we'll see. Yes?
I'm standing just because my back hurts. Sorry. I don't mean to be rude. One of the things I wanted to share was just as quickly as I can. We had the tree in the front here that has the intentions. And I talked to the woman, Claire, who's the person who's organized the public, I call it the elder garden.
Elder and sage
Yeah,
garden.
I call it elder garden. And I asked her if it might be possible to move it there. And she agreed. And then I connected with Bill and we moved it. But one of the things that was really wonderful to experience in that process is how we had something that's a symbol. And we asked, like surprisingly, there's all of a sudden a garden next to us. And we asked if they would like house it temporarily and what we would do and what our commitment is and everything. And they were so delighted. Claire just said yes right away. And then Bill brought it over, and he also, I suggested to Bill in an email that if he might have some extra compost or something, he might bring that along since he does gardening. And he just took the initiative to bring in some supplies. And they were so transformed by that, because the whole thing about noticing what they were doing, she's very politically orientated in a very kind way and very outspoken. And she's been around downtown for the last 10 years, I've seen her. So she's really well connected. These are elders, and they felt like they had been seen by us. And they were really, really touched by that. And that's what the part about community that I really love. And it's a win-win. And they were really, really, they've been seen and they've been heard by a shop, in a way. And that was worth all of it. And they're very happy to have it there. And I need people to, maybe one or two people who might be interested in checking on it on a consistent basis and watering.
There are 2 watering tubs
Should be
that
back
Bill
there.
has prepared back in the kitchen. Whenever you're here, you can fill it up and feed not only our tree, because there's no easy water source there, but other people's. And Barbara has also gotten sort of like agreement way back for us to have a box there if we want to and grow our stuff. And Bill has said that he can easily get one in there. Just tell him what we want. And then, of course, if anyone of us want to keep the garden, the box, we can have it there.
Oh,
Beyond that, also, sort of the landlord of this place is also very involved in kind of like the bigger kind of future of that. And so they have said on several occasions wanting us to be involved in the conversations that are going on in the church, all the different stakeholders, that we are part of, that picture, and they want us involved. And so.
well, I think Bill's looking into isn't there going to be possibly a committee for the different organizations that are downtown? There's 1 or 2 leads we had. So we can be part of those organizations and find out what's going on.
Yeah, so different people have different interests, and if this is an area, this is how you can be the public face of urban Dharma and get involved, which is what we want to do. The way that Sheila connected us with, but what happened to the 4-legged food donation?
Their basket.
Oh,
It disappeared.
It disappeared.
Oh, okay.
is it coming back?
It can be brought back. I think it needed a renewal. So.
Okay.
It's so little, it's hard to see.
No.
I mean, it kind
No,
of
it
gets lost in
it got
front.
filled, and
Yeah, it did. Oh,
yeah, it got
It
filled.
got filled.
So,
But Nika's a sign that it's coming back.
Yeah.
We were all shocked.
yeah.
No, really.
Yeah, so those are the kind of connections, that kind of, we get urban Dharma. And incidentally, that morning when the tree was being moved by Bill and one of his workers, the local TV station came. And so they talked to him. So don't count on magic, but don't discount magic. And tonight, what you heard, like somebody obviously donated that, and we didn't pay for the radio. So lots of people are interested in seeing that we continue. So we close with the dedication on page 147. With the determination to accomplish the highest welfare for all sentient beings who surpass even a wish-granting jewel, may I train to hold them as supremely precious. Whenever I associate with others, may I train to think of myself as the lowest among all. and respectfully hold others to be supreme from the very depths of my heart. In all actions, may I train to search into my mind, and as soon as an afflictive emotion arises, endangering myself and others, I will firmly face and avert it. May I train to cherish beings of bad nature and those oppressed by strong sins and suffering, as if I had found a precious treasure very difficult to find. When others out of jealousy treat me badly with abuse, slander, and so on, may I train to take on all loss and offer victory to them. When one whom I benefited with great hope unreasonably hurts me very badly, may I train to view that person as an excellent spiritual guide. In short, may I train to offer to everyone without exception all help and happiness directly and indirectly, and respectfully take upon myself all harm and suffering of my mothers. May I train to keep all these practices undefiled by the stains of the 8 worldly conceptions, and by understanding all phenomena as like illusions, be released from the bondage of attachment.